Jesse Marsch has been a top candidate and top priority for the CSA in the hunt for a new Canada team manager, but that has completely changed in the past few days. As just a couple of days ago, Jesse Marsch was in talks with the CSA in New York. But now, just yesterday, it has been reported in some massive breaking news from the Korean Football Association as South Korea are now pushing for Jesse Marsch to be their new national team manager, as it was reported yesterday on X from Korea Football News that the KFA has selected Jesse Marsch as its top candidate for the South Korea managerial role and is currently negotiating with the American manager. And this was broken from Sports Chosun, and this is extremely interesting news, as just a few days ago the CSA was in talks with Jesse Marsch in New York, so you can definitely tell that things were progressing with the CSA and with the ex-Leeds United manager and Red Bull Salzburg manager in Jesse Marsch. But for it to take this drastic of a change in a matter of days is monumental, because it is quite clear that Jesse Marsch was a top candidate and still is a top candidate for the CSA. I'm not ruling anything out. There's nothing signed, there's nothing done, and there's nothing broken. But the fact that South Korea national team manager is now currently negotiating with him is very interesting, because of course South Korean Football Federation do have a recent history of hiring Americans. Their last manager was Jurgen Klinsmann, and it is very interesting to see how things will go now and progress from here for the CSA and the Canada team managerial role. And I'm not overly shocked by this. I think it's very interesting. Jesse Marsch was definitely a manager's name in the hat, and I would have loved to see him take the Canada team managerial role. But once there was those talks with the CSA in New York, immediately the next day, Paul Clement's name was thrown out there, and a manager that a lot of Canadians would love and I would personally love as well. But it was so weird to see that we were in talks one day with Jesse Marsch in New York, but then the next day, Paul Clement's name was thrown into the bag. Yes, there's going to be rumors and lots of managers' names thrown around in this rumor mill around the Canada team managerial role, because this is such a job that's going to be held in such high regard right now. You got the Copa America coming up, and then you have the 2026 World Cup, which a manager is going to get to host and get to manage on home soil, and there's not too many managers that can say they've got to manage at a World Cup. So this would be absolutely phenomenal for any manager, and it's going to be a sought after job. And we are getting some very high names thrown around for this Canada managerial role. And I'm not surprised Jesse Marsch was. We've heard Greg Vanney in the past few days, but now with Jesse Marsch being linked and currently negotiating with the South Korean Football Association, that is massive news, because like I said, that would be following in the footsteps of a fellow American. Their last manager was American and massively failed and had a huge failure with them. And now it'll be very interesting, because the fact that he's in negotiations and was just talking to the CSA in New York a few days ago, things have drastically changed somewhere in there. And I'm not going to say it's concrete news coming out of X with Korea Football News, because nothing for me is concrete unless it's a tier 1 journalist. But I find it very interesting to see reports like this, especially just a few days ago after it was being broken from a very good and reliable source, in my opinion, in Footy Prime, that Jesse Marsch was meeting with the CSA in New York. So for it to change that drastically in a few days is very bizarre and very interesting. Either something massively broke down, or they're just trying to pick up a rumor and make it look like Jesse Marsch is really interested in Canada or is really interested in South Korea, and one of them just isn't on the table at all. But for me, I find it very interesting that Paul Clement's name immediately got thrown in the bag a day after Jesse Marsch was having those talks in New York with the CSA. Because Paul Clement, for me, if he's truly involved in this, would be the standout manager. Paul Clement, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Thomas Christensen, and then Jesse Marsch. We've been linked with some phenomenal managers, and really, right now we can't go wrong. Paul Clement would be an unbelievable hire. And there's no fault to Jesse Marsch. I would absolutely love Jesse Marsch to be our Canada team manager. I know there's a lot of slack coming on Jesse Marsch. I posted a video about him. I posted a video about Greg Vanney. And really, it looks like more people want Greg Vanney than they do Jesse Marsch, which I find that absolutely unbelievable. I don't know how people would want Greg Vanney over Jesse Marsch, but that is very interesting to me as well. Just it's more so recency bias, which I'm finding a lot with these managers. Yes, Greg Vanney's doing phenomenal things with LA Galaxy. He won, of course, some stuff with Toronto FC. But we also got to remember what Jesse Marsch has done. He's brought through some phenomenal players through the Red Bull program, played some fantastic football with Salzburg, did very well with Red Bull Leipzig, and rushed into a job with Leeds United, and it wasn't the right time or the right place. And even a best mate of mine, who is a season ticket goer with Leeds United, said it wasn't the right time for him. We can't focus on recency bias with some of these managers, especially with Jesse Marsch. It was a rough go of Leeds United, but he hasn't sprung straight back into a job. And he's a very intelligent, smart manager, and he thinks and has a really thought out idea. There's a very well-planned manager here. There's a reason Jesse Marsch hasn't sprinted back into managerial role yet. He could have been with Southampton, didn't take that job. He could have rushed into another job, and he hasn't done that. So it's going to be very interesting to see when he does decide to jump into a job. It's looking like Canada's pushing. It's looking now like South Korea's pushing. And they're not jobs that don't make sense for him. So like these rumors for me do seem pretty concrete. So it'll be very interesting to see which one does come true. But the fact Paul Clement's name got thrown in the mix is very interesting because he immediately becomes my number one. He would be a phenomenal manager to get in the door, to get hired. And I would absolutely love to see him take this side on a journey, on a project. And you got to look at all of these managers that have been named: Jesse Marsch, Paul Clement, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, even Thomas Christensen. We would be able to recruit dual nationals just from the pull of the manager. I really do believe that. Some people would say you probably wouldn't be able to, but I think just from your manager, you're going to be able to pull more dual nats. And it's going to be very interesting to see if Jesse Marsch does go to South Korea, as they are apparently right now in negotiations with the American manager to become the next South Korean national team manager. Only a few days ago, after the CSA was in talks with Jesse Marsch in New York. Let me know your guys' thoughts down below. Would you be sad, frustrated, happy, excited to see Jesse Marsch go to South Korea and see Canada go to a different direction and to take a different manager? I'd absolutely love what you guys have to say on this one, because for me, the hate on Jesse Marsch is completely down to recency bias. I think the next job he's going to take, he's going to do a phenomenal job. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comments, because right now, reported by Korea Football News, as of recording, the KFA have reported that South Korea national team manager is currently negotiating with Jesse Marsch. So let me know your guys' thoughts down below in the comments. Make sure to drop a like. It really helps me out in the channel, guys. But also hit that sub button. We're going to be back with so much more content, guys, because we are truly on the rise. And let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys for the next one. Peace.